All right, welcome everyone to the Town of Victor Conservation Board. October 21st, we'll begin our meeting at 6:32 p.m. Alongside me tonight, Mr. Tim Norman, Keith Paris, and Andrew Phillips. My name is Pat Coleman, Chair. Nice to see you all again. Thanks for coming. So only one project on the agenda is the Nicola Final Subdivision. And read off the summary here. Applicant is requesting approval to develop 42.4 acres into 7 lots with driveways coming off Quincy Road. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you again. You don't mind just provide us a few updates on your end with regard to the project?
First, I'm Keith Nikoloff. I'm the landowner, and John Howder from Land Tech as the engineer.
The site engineer from Nikoloff. We have received preliminary site plan approvals from the planning board, and we recently, like a couple of weeks ago, submitted for final site plan approvals. We have a planning board meeting on October 30th to receive those official comments and approvals, hopefully. And we've whittled away at all the comments, various comments. I don't know if you guys are aware of the last changes, but the DEC basically took jurisdiction of the wetlands at the southeast corner of the site. And that automatically entails a 100-foot buffer beyond the delineated wetlands. And that area cannot be disturbed, whether or not it's in an easement or anything like that. As part of being this 100-foot wetland buffer, it cannot be disturbed. You can't build in it, can't disturb the earth or anything like that. So the news there is that these were both federal wetlands. But the state has been reviewing all of the federal wetlands statewide, deciding that some of them need to be under state jurisdiction, and this was one of those.
So that's bottom right on this map?
Yeah.
Okay. And then kind of middle left, is that also wetlands in lot 7?
Yes, the ones to the west are still state, are still federal, or I can't remember actually. No, they're DEC, but that is a 100-foot buffer as well, so there's no development in that area either. In fact, the easement that we've created does follow that 100-foot buffer line in certain places. It also follows the 75-foot town stream buffer. I'm sure you guys have looked at the maps and so forth. But they basically correspond with each other. And we ended up with 22 acres of conservation easement, open space easement for the project. And that's in line with 50% requirement for this District A overlay. So yeah, so we're about half, we've got about half of the site in conservation easement.
Still no water, been a dry year. And we were out there earlier this year, there's there's no water anywhere.
Yeah.
Still no water, it's just crazy.
Wild.
But we wetlands, so we respect it.
And so the conservation easements, there's the west side.
I can kind of who's controlling this thing?
Me.
Can you pull up the plat map?
I have that. That.
Probably has the whole. Should be a plat map in there too, I hope.
Then there's a whole bunch of, after this one, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. This is everything I have. I didn't give you the one.
Well, yeah, so this is the western end. And you can see where I have the proposed open space conservation easement line, which basically goes up to the right of way of County Road 9, and it comes around like this. Goes down here, boom, boom. And maybe you could show the next page, number 8.
This one? No.
Maybe 6.
maybe 6, I'm sorry. And it comes across here. Follows that 100-foot buffer. Keeps going along the 75-foot town stream buffer. Comes out here, boom. And then comes back here. Comes back here, ends up down. I can't really see that, but it goes around here and all the way back down along the property line.
Okay. And so, a comment we always have for every development is just, to be mindful of the town code in marking those conservation easements, because every time there's a change in the angle, it requires a marker,
Right.
so, to the extent that you can keep things straight and it'll just cut down on the amount of
Well, in
markers.
fact, I think I have a note on that plan, which is the plat map, I believe, right? Yeah, you got it right there.
This, I think, is what we're looking for.
Yeah, that's it. So here's a verbatim what the town requires for the monumentation. That's their law.
Yep.
And Mr. Nikoloff is willing to do that.
I thought we talked in the last meeting, or whatever, about
Yeah.
getting monster rocks that would go along with the terrain and everything else there. Is a possibility. Now, we used to own the 58 acres across the street, and we had the big horse farm and all the split rail.
Yeah.
Well, looks like some of those split rails aren't gonna be used, so we thought as an alternative, we use some of those split rails, and they have 3 posts. 3 posts and split rails going down, so that at least demarc the corners more straighter than a rock. Still like the rock idea because it's more natural, but I thought I could talk to Brian about, what are you gonna do with all those split rails? Because I could just see a nice corner where the post is there and the rails go down in a corner way, so you could at least determine exactly where things are.
Yeah.
So one of those two is what's on my mind. I gotta talk to the builder, make sure I can get the rocks. And I gotta talk to Brian, make sure I get those posts, but that is the concept and we totally respect what you've asked us for.
Yeah, and, I would just,
Better than signs, the signs are gonna get lost because this is a high growth area.
yeah,
Every year they're gonna get lost, so we wanted to have something substantial.
yeah.
That's supportive of that, yeah.
Yes, so I would just say, check with code just to make sure that, because ultimately they're approving it, accepting it, so, but yeah, the spirit of that is in line with our ask as well.
Yeah, we really kind of get excited about that because rocks are, I got big rock walls down in Cuca on the waterfront. It's kind of where I'm kind of been known as a rock man now. So I just want to, if we can do it, I mean, they're expensive, but I think they're the best markation you could get as opposed to having fences or things like that would be interrupted someone's view because they're coming out here. They want the view. They don't want to be interrupted, but they also want to, for the most people, I think want to respect the rules. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody wants to intentionally, and the reality is in this property is there's just trees all around where you can't, unless you're gonna chop trees down, which you can't, but it just kind of got its own little borders kind of naturally fit in. You may remember when we walked it, you got trees, it's all tree lined.
Yeah.
Now, the issue is between property, but I think what he's done is a nice job, as straight as it can be.
Right.
As I know around, looking at the top, there's a nice little C curve there, that's gonna be, it's not very straight, is it?
Yeah, but are you talking the kind of
To the
top
left.
right?
To the
Or
left.
to the left? Oh, yeah,
That
yeah,
makes
that
sense.
one's gonna be tricky.
I can see 3 rocks there, point, middle and point, basically.
In terms of the easement, I think you had mentioned open space, was it? My worry there, it's always just tricky when there's the wetlands, which, as you mentioned, is a higher bar than just an easement. of there being, you know, it being difficult for future homeowners to kind of understand the nuance between the two. If, hey, I could go up to here and do this, but this next, 100 feet, I can't. My initial thought, I think would be the natural resource, easement. But I think ultimately you have some ideas of, what you'd like to be able to do on the property.
Concerned about lot 7, basically.
I mean, that's
that open
the
area.
primary one,
Yeah.
but just in general, it's always,
That's gonna be our property.
yeah.
We kind of earmarked that, and so, and the only thing we asked last meeting is that I could cut it seasonally. Cause it grows, that stuff. Well, you were there where it was just
Yeah,
grows and it's
yeah.
nasty, it's gnarly, right? So I just wanna make sure we can cut it and keep it. But in that, you maybe do multiple rock line there. Just so that everybody, if we sell our property in 20 years, or whatever,
Sure. Yeah, understood.
I wanna make sure we're hearing what you guys are saying, that you're hearing what our ideas are. Nobody wants to be doing something that nobody wants us to. It's a funny thing though, is right, they call it wetlands. We farmed it for the last 20 years.
Yeah,
So I don't know, how do you call farmlands wetlands,
Right.
right? And so there is a thought at some point, we may go back and challenge DEC on that.
sure.
But for right now, we gotta follow the rules.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And that's the biggest one, to be honest, right?
So the natural resource does, it says that there should be no clearing of brush with the exception of clearing of brush to the extent necessary to establish or maintain unimproved pervious footpaths.
What did we code it
So-
last time we were together? Is that what it was called last time? So I could at least go out and.
It might be the open space, so there's kind of three kind of boilerplate.
Yeah.
Boilerplate easements. There's the natural resource, which is the most restrictive. There's site specific, which kind of allows more flexibility, so it's built in. I want to do X or Y, and you literally like check the box for,
Yeah.
And then there's open space, which is less restrictive.
All we've asked for in the past is just because of the aggressive growth. I would think the town would want, like I would want, at least to keep it not out of control crazy,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
I don't know if I can get an agriculture exemption on that. Lot 7 as well, because it's big enough, it's more than 8 acres, I think is the minimum for ag exemptions, even if it's wetlands. Because we've been farming it forever, we're gonna continue to farm it. And maybe if we can't do that on wetlands anymore.
that's a great question.
I'm not sure. That's outside of our purview, at least my understanding. But I think it's a fair question to ask. I don't know if the planning board is, to me, that's a state thing, but I might be wrong too. On the ag exemptions. So I guess maybe in terms of the easement, my initial thought is that the natural resource, which is most restrictive of the three. But I think ultimately, especially you're gonna continue to be an owner of at least one of the lots. Read through the three easement languages to make sure that, whatever direction we go, you can live with it, because it's hard to do it 2 years from now when.
How do we do that? We're going for final approval and, maybe at the last week of, next week. How do we get to this determination? Because I don't want this to be a flag's gonna force us to delay again,
Yeah,
because we've been at it 2 years.
so my thought is Lisa, I believe, would have she can provide the easement, the standard easement
Oh, the
documents, right?
languages?
Yeah. So email Lisa, get those easements, and then you know, your team can review them in, they're 3 or 4 pages long. It's not a big
That's gonna
deal.
be simple,
Yeah.
Thought we did this before, and I didn't think we had that.
How does the site specific work?
It allows you to adopt specific components that would meet your needs. So for example, seasonal mowing, right?
That's how we were, that's how we,
Yeah.
last time, that's how we were concerned about, it. I wasn't
Yeah,
even thinking about keeping it as an ag exempt one,
sure,
except it's large enough, we could get it if we've been farming it,
right,
right? So, but I don't know,
makes sense,
maybe, right?
yeah.
So would you apply the different ones on different lots? Like Keith would have site specific. Then maybe along the creek would be natural resource. Because I personally know that creek is pretty important. And it has a 75-foot buffer on it already.
Right.
I think I'm.
And,
or something like that.
I could see some of the new neighbors mowing right up, hacking the daylights out of the woods to get up to that creek.
Yeah.
For the view or whatever, and it's the way it is now is perfect.
Yeah,
It's totally shaded, heavy growth. I don't want to mess with. It's gonna be part of the appeal of these properties.
yeah,
We don't want some guy, one neighbor opening up a view the other neighbor doesn't want. You want to preserve those buffers. That's what the appeal is here, at this property.
So would the seasonal mowing be on that lot to the furthest to the west? Is that what you're?
Yeah, to the top
Suggesting?
left there.
Okay.
Yeah, nowhere else would anybody do any, lower right-hand corners, it's probably the wettest. If it gets wet, it's gonna get wet there, but out behind here, just open. It's open and flat. You guys remember that? Really flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, and that's not in the. Yeah, so with the Ds, I would imagine the DEC, or whoever, whatever agency. Designated as a wetland would not allow mowing, but I also don't know their restrictions.
it's currently being farmed now.
Yeah,
Hey.
No, it's corn, it's corn or beans. It's cash crop there and
Got I would say within the proposed easement lines that we have before us here, which I don't see are included in the wetland, right?
well, I think it's all this.
it is all that.
Oh, it is all
Yeah.
that, I'm sorry.
It's all that, right? Yeah.
So that, I think this is just denoting what's wetland versus.
Okay,
Easement,
gotcha.
yeah, but it would all be considered in the easement. For that lot 7.
Last time we talked about it, just it makes sense to keep it under control.
Yeah. I
Because
agree,
once
I
it gets
understand.
out of control,
Yeah.
then the farmer's gotta come in with heavy equipment to, and no one
You mess out
but
there.
if DEC says you can't do it, I mean, we've been farming it, like I said, forever.
Yeah, and I just don't know the answer to it,
That said, I would be certainly a proponent of carving it up, right? So your lot, that area. Fine for us, right? Site specific, with seasonal mowing to maintain it.
Yeah.
And then with respect to the other lots, natural resource, to your point, preserve that kind of natural.
stream, yeah.
It's interesting that it was being farmed all the times. Why
Right,
cold turkey? So for that reason, I think it's only fair enough that he's allowed to at least maintain it. No construction, that kind of stuff, that they just to maintain it. So aesthetically, it's actually pleasing to the neighbors because you won't want to be banging on that next to it and you have this forest going up next to you and your buffer is enough on all of that.
I will, I agree with that, I'll support that.
yeah,
We have site specific there and resource or most restrictive everywhere else.
I don't think the other people on the east are gonna be doing any farming.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Well, you never know, you know what I mean? It's good land.
yeah,
It's fair.
beautiful property.
Where?
The southeast, the four houses.
Oh, no, there's no, you don't have, there's no, don't have gardens, but but not in the easement.
So we would do the site specific on the. Or west. But the only question is, what is allowed with, the wetland? Is there mowing allowed?
But they could do brush cut.
Yeah, what's interesting is if this project didn't even come to light, still be farming it, it's still wet.
All day
Right,
long.
Yeah.
and so I think for our
I
city,
prefer to keep it farming, I'd prefer to get an ag exemption and do that, but
yeah,
maybe we can't, if
Yeah.
it becomes now to the light, then I feel bad for the farmers, but it's what it is.
which is ironic, I would say for our purposes, in our easement language. Site 7, your site specific to allow for the seasonal mowing. Natural resource beyond. Wetland is outside of our.
Yep.
Go. So what happens there is,
Yeah, you have to
we can't
follow.
control and we can control and kind of help
Yeah.
guide with easement.
It'll be an interesting conversation when this is all done, to talk to the assessor about ag exemption when it is a wetland. I mean, the reality is, it's all ag exemption today. It's all, a lot of wetlands in there, but still exempted today. So I'm not sure that can be grandfathered in once we start chopping it up, but it'll be a conversation we'll have once we get final approval on
Sure.
afterwards. But I appreciate everyone's conversations and discussion.
And just for your knowledge, I'm pretty sure for the site specific, it says allows blank seasonal mowing, and you write in twice, 3 times for it. So
At whatever frequency.
think what,
So we get that from Lisa. And
Yes.
John, you can fill it out for her
Mhm.
and again, who's checking? I mean, to be honest.
yeah, it does, I mean, the frequency of the mowing,
Yeah.
I don't know, but there are, you will have other neighbors
Oh, yeah.
and it's all public, so
Oh, yeah.
it does come up where,
So
yeah. But yeah, the frequency, I have to prove too.
but our frequency would be something that we believe that would be in the best interest of the town as well.
Sure.
We're
Yeah,
not gonna cut it down like it's lawn, because
Yeah.
it's not, right? But we are going
Yeah.
to keep it respectable.
Mhm.
This last time we met, I think we talked about that, just keeping it under
Yeah.
control so it doesn't get out of control, because
Yeah.
right now, from when you walked from it, by the time we went out and did the final testing, we had to go back and have the farmers go down and chop it all down because I couldn't do it with my lawnmower.
Yeah.
Even have a, 25 horsepower diesel.
Sure.
Zero turn, Kubota, it wouldn't go, so
yeah.
you gotta keep after it, because if
Time for
it's,
bush hog,
yeah, well, bush hog is with the farm across the street, so I gave that my tractor to the new farmers.
I would just say from probably our sense, it would be, probably for most folks in Victor, it would be nice to continue to see farming, right, in our community.
Absolutely,
So,
I love that, keeping farmers,
Especially that part of the Victor, I think.
yeah, for their sake and ours.
yeah, we'll
Mutual benefit.
bring it up, like I said, we'll talk to them about it and get ag exemption, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
That does 2 things, right, keeps the farmers in business.
Maintain it
Just happy, yeah,
Maintains it, right?
mathematically.
Not that I ever made any money on the land doing that, but you just gotta make sure you pay your taxes and keep it under control.
yeah.
Is there, not to move on from the conservation easements, are there, in terms of other water in the development, are there, I see some infiltration basins, but anything else to note, from the development?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, the stream, like I mentioned before, is really nice feature. Of course, we're complying with the buffer issue and incorporating the whole thing in the easement. But the infiltration basins are something that I've had a lot of success with, particularly in Victor, because the soil is basically just gravel. A lot of it. It's all glacial, and one of the main primary philosophies, stormwater management, is to get that water back into the ground, recharge it. And I feel that they're better than like a pond, because these ponds just fill in with that Phragmite. and then they don't function properly, and then it's a big argument about who's gonna take care of them and all that. Now, these infiltration basins are very shallow, and there's not standing water. Water runoff from the houses, driveways, and these access drives will drain into these basins, and it will just sit for maybe a day or two, and it slowly infiltrates in for the lower storm events. If there's like a 100-year storm event, it'll fill up and overflow, and it'll let that overflow water go. But we're not required to quality treat that above and beyond the first like 1-year storm and stuff like that. It's that they used to call it first flush, which is the frequency where it pours like crazy for half an hour or something like that. And that water has all the pollutants in it, oil, silt, grit, stuff like that, that goes in, gets treated. And then that first flush gets treated for quality. And then the bigger storms, you don't have to worry about because it's already been rinsed out. Yeah. But each one of these can be mowed as a yard or just a rough field or whatever. But you won't even really see them. I mean, it's just gonna be a little dip in the lawn.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's this wetland up here, we're not messing around with it at all. It does drain across the street, and we aren't influencing that at all. In fact, we're decreasing the amount of water that could go up to that corner by putting it in the infiltration basin and recharging the ground. So, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty, this project is like a textbook, rural by design project where you have larger lots that aren't disturbed. And, you minimize the disturbance for the whole project. And kind of like Keith was saying, you can preserve a lot of land to continue with agriculture and so on and so forth. In this area, the overlay district is designed, that's how it was set up for this type of project. So we just followed the town guidelines, and that's how we came about this design.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm recalling back to our site walk. I don't recall there being many trees. I mean, they kind of lined that stream or whatever, kind of in the middle here. But other than that, I don't recall there being significant trees that would need to be removed or anything.
There's no substantial tree that would be required to be removed.
Okay.
I mean, the one big tree is where our kids, their tree stand on it. Across the field, there's one that has a tree stand in it. Those on that part, the only trees that are large enough to support that. You got a lot of woods in the backside, right? You have a lot of woods. You have a lot of woods here. This is pretty thick woods here. And thick woods there, but beyond that, thick woods here.
But not in the areas that are being disturbed.
No,
It's
no.
largely the farmland.
Yeah, it's open field.
Yep.
Yeah, but you have a lot of, someone said that the thick underbrush that grows along the
Yeah.
creek.
Yeah.
Got a lot of rubber trees that show up in there that everybody hates because they grow so freaking fast. The skinny, right? It's just-
Yeah.
Other comments?
No.
So our suggestion would be to develop that site-specific plan, easement language, which I can send you along with this. This is the natural resource, kind of the most restrictive one.
Okay.
You can at least use that for a template
Okay, thank you.
and then just work off of that.
What do you do with
site-specific.
that? Do you just send it to Wes?
I'll send it back to Lisa and then.
Or to Lisa? At least we'll know what to do with that.
Process.
Okay.
It would be, would you say the 30th?
Yeah.
They'll have that, and so we can discuss it, finalize it then,
Perfect.
you're off to the races. And then natural resource for the balance.
So that one, we're saying everything but lot 7. But I would still read through it, make sure that, you guys, the future owners can live with it. And then the site specific, Lisa can email you, but you'll see there's blanks for you to fill in and check marks. And so it's pretty user friendly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that I'd rather spend some time now, make sure that
Yeah.
everyone's comfortable with it than
Appreciate
figure
it.
out 3 years.
Yeah. Make sure she sends it to me too. Both of them, because that's hard copy. Yeah, and that's
We
one
have
else-
a couple if you need
Yeah,
them.
give me,
Yeah,
yeah.
I got one that's-
Our way.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
That's it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You're welcome to stick around for approval of the minutes. Got somewhere to go, I understand.
I gotta get back to.
Yeah, safe travel.
Yeah, it's
Good luck
deer
with the
season, right?
project.
I don't
Yep.
want them jumping on my front.
I got one on the way here.
You did?
It ran in the side of my car. Yeah.
Right?
Yep,
Did it done it?
down in the passenger door,
Oh.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I
I
think
saw
it's,
that kind of road,
yeah,
not on the side of the road, someone hit it, it's like,
yeah.
everywhere, yeah.
'tis the season, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much.
Thank you. Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
It's your fault. Take care. Take care.
We can approve minutes, we don't have that.
Yeah, it's September, right?
There's two of us, September 16th and.
Yep.
I think we can, as long as, so you're allowed to approve them if you weren't here, right? As long as you and I think that's the rule, right?
You're right, I think I saw that.
Yeah,
If I have no objections.
yeah.
Then I can. Yeah, that was some recent, right? I think I saw that recently.
Sounds right.
It comes up every now and then, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, do I have any commentary or I should say in lieu of any commentary with regard to the September 16th and October 7th minutes? I have a motion to approve.
I've reviewed it and had no comment, so I'll make a motion to approve those two meeting minutes.
Look at it, I second it.
Mr. Paris, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No abstentions. Minutes passed from September 16th and October 7th. Any additional discussion?
Anything from the town?
I don't remember.
On that map.
Yeah.
Two driveways go onto Lazy Road.
Yes.
Now.
Why?
They have to be built in a certain way because fire trucks are pretty heavy. And
Sure,
who
yeah.
takes care, who's responsible for the winter, like plowing and resurfacing and how does that work out?
These would be private, so it would be the obligation of the homeowners to take care of that. I'm
But
sure.
they're sharing.
Correct. I would suspect just as much there. I know that within the code, there are guidelines around the width, for example. Right, I think. So
Yeah,
long as
the-
it's
Any
paved.
instructions?
Yeah, in the fire department will opine and they need to, depending on the length, to be able to turn around. So sometimes you'll see where they have like a cul-de-sac that the fire trucks can turn around in, or if it's short enough, I don't think they have to. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty detailed and what they can do on these private drives.
I would say additional. I was curious too, the driveway, why two, but because of that center stream,
Yeah.
that buffer there. Also, there's a lot of vegetation and
Right.
forest going on there, which what it is.
It's just. I won't bother you, but you know, neighbors are neighbors. Sometimes you get a nice neighbor and everybody agrees and sometimes you don't. And to share something like
Oh, yeah,
that would put me off no matter.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think the benefit to having one is that you can have one, so it's sort of fewer driveways, obviously, but to
You're
your
right.
point, you've got to be,
Yeah, compatible.
yeah, that's the point. So. Anyway,
Oh, well.
good to see you.
My pleasure. I thank you always.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's such a pleasure.
Good to see you. Yeah. No additional commentary, motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Norman and a second by Mr. Phillips, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Being adjourned 7:07 PM. Out,
Yeah, and more like,
loud enough.
I didn't really see it, because it just literally came outside and hit the door. I heard it, and then I saw it scamper